a little bit more, get to know their journeys, and at the end of this, you're going to be able to ask them questions. Okay. So I'd like them to tell us where they grew up. Where were you born? Where did you grow up? Where did you go to school?
Okay. So I was born in Nairobi. Grew up in Nairobi. Also grew up a bit in Western Kenya, in Bungoma.
And where in Nairobi?
Nairobi, I was in South Sea, and then Western Kenya, and then high school I was in Lenana, and then I started working after high school. So I've been drawing all my life. I've been drawing since I can remember. I was drawing cartoons that I would see in the morning on TV, and so it's just something that I've always enjoyed doing, and I got better at.
On that bit of drawing cartoons, was there a particular one that you like to watch and draw?
Yes. So I don't know if you guys know. Oh, okay. Yes. So are you guys familiar with Transformers? So I would draw Transformers. I would draw another one called Saber Riders. This one you might not know. It's a bit old. And Flintstones. So those are the comics those are the cartoons I would draw.
Okay. Oscar?
My name's Oscar. Unfortunately, I never grew up in Nairobi for a long time. I was raised in Kisumu, so I'm more of a Nyanza person. That's where I got my culture. But I was fascinated with a lot of Marvel comics, specifically Spider-Man. I think everyone knows who Spider-Man here.
Spider-Man fans?
X-Men.
X-Men.
Wolverine.
Good.
So I started drawing after I completed college because I specialized in. I'm an IT professional, by the way. I work with an IT firm, but I was drawn into storytelling. And then I realized, I have a talent. Why don't I make use of it? Can earn some extra income apart from being an IT expert. So most of my stories are oriented on science fiction. I can take a mythological figure and turn it scientific. So
so that's where you started.
Yes, that's where I started.
Okay.
It was around in my first book I wrote was in 2015, I think.
Okay.
But the ideas disappeared and I started another one. So yes, I was inspired by Marvel. I've watched all Marvel films. I read a lot of Marvel comics. So those are my major inspirations.
Okay.
Yes.
So back to Salim. What inspired you to start creating comics?
So what inspired me to start drawing comics is I would see a lot of these cartoons. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with anime and manga, the Jujutsu Kaisens, and all those. So when I saw those, I saw they had a lot of Japanese culture in them, and American animations have American culture in them. And I asked myself, where are the cartoons with African culture, my own culture? And I couldn't find any. And I thought, since I can draw, then let me make our own African comics. Yeah. And so that's where I started.
Okay. And you, Oscar? Yeah, that's awesome, right?
Me personally, I was inspired by the desire to understand my past. You see, when I was growing up, I never understood a lot about my culture. Most of the stuff I read in school, but when I started digging deep inside my culture, I realized there's a gap that needed to be bridged. So I wanted to tell stories that preserve the culture from where I come from. I'm from Nyanza, so I wanted to tell such kind of stories.
Yeah. So what was your first comic about? Would you say it was a good one?
My first
one? And I'd like Salim to also tell us this after this.
My first comic I wrote my first book in 2015. It was, I think, entitled Zedi, some fantasy story. But it wasn't successful because of the style of drawing. It wasn't as detailed as the ones that I do right now. Because by then I was learning. It was my first book. But you see, I never gave up.
Very good.
Despite the fact that the book wasn't successful, I still pushed on. So my first book was in 2015.
Okay.
The title is Zedi, but yeah.
Salim, what was your first book about?
Yeah, so my first book was in 2013. Were you guys born in 2013? Oh, okay. So 2013, it was called Dunamis, and it was about children with superpowers who also had a disability, but they were fighting against an evil witch doctor who was trying to use them for his own ends. So that was the first one. It was launched actually at NAICCON,
Oh yeah.
and and yeah, it was good. It was good.
How many of you like superhero stories? Yeah, very good, very good. So how do you come up with the characters and the stories? Let's hear this. I'd like us to know how they come up with their stories and their characters.
So coming up with a story, you need to first of all write down. You can't just wake up one morning and start drawing. You need to first of all draft your story. You need to know how it's going to begin, the middle, and how it's gonna end. And you need to understand the characters. You have to have a protagonist and an antagonist, someone who is. So it's telling stories is all about two things: the good and the bad guy. So you have to find a way of twisting the story so that the good and the bad can interact in some way, develop through that you can develop some action in your scenes. But essentially, I always have to think about the protagonist first, then later the antagonist. Then I'll mold the story within and decide how it's gonna begin, middle, and how it's gonna end. Yep.
Okay. So Salim, characters.
Yeah, so how I come up with the characters is I think of sometimes I get inspiration from the people around me. People who are good. There are some people who are bad. I'm sure you guys know those kinds of people. You know some of your friends who are good, and you also know your friends who are bad. Yeah. So I think about that and what I want them to do in the story. If I want them to save someone, I give them a superpower like flying, super strength, and yeah, that's how I come up with them. Give them a name and yeah, put them to work.
Would you say it's possible for somebody to actually put a comic book without knowing how to draw?
Yes, you can do a comic book without knowing how to draw because it's about telling the story. And one thing you can do is if you have the story and you can't draw, is draw it in stick figures. And when you find somebody who can draw, because I'm sure you guys know somebody who can draw, you can work together and have that person draw the story that you have written.
The power of collaboration.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Good. Let's look at. Tell us what the life of a comic creator looks like on a normal day. What does that look like?
The life of a comic creator,
Yeah.
I would be honest, it's very boring because it's a lot of work, it involves a lot of thinking. You have to sketch your ideas. You have to sit down and write a story that impresses you first before you release it to the public. Because if you are not impressed by the story, the public won't be impressed. But I have to be honest with you, it's a lot of work. I can't lie about that. And it's very boring, according to me.
Salim, would you say it's boring?
No, it's very exciting for me because comics allows me to draw the things I would like to see. I would like to see a giant monster climbing and destroying KICC, and because I can draw that, I draw it. I want to draw somebody flying over Mathare and fighting with the MP. Yeah, I can do it. because I can draw. So that's why I love comics, because it allows me to bring to life the things and the ideas that I have in my mind at any time.
Yeah, let me just clarify this. When Oscar says it's boring, it's not boring, but it's very exciting. It's that he doesn't, because he's so drawn into what he's doing. He doesn't get to do what most people would say is exciting, right? You don't go out as much because you really have targets to be able to reach. You're so drawn into the art of what you're doing. So it's, trust me, as Salim said, it's very exciting. Okay, very good. Next question: has anything that has happened in your life been part of the stories that you've told to the two of you?
Yes, yes, because the stories I write are inspired by my lifestyle and my life experience. Personally, my life experience mostly, because I have to develop characters that relate to people I've met, my friends, mostly, yeah, people I interact with. So all my characters, like maybe 90% are revolve around my social life.
Salim?
Yes, there's a story I made called Kade, and Kade is a story about this young boy who goes with his friends in the rural area, and they go around hunting birds with slingshots. You guys know what a fair is? Yeah. So we'd go with, when we were small, we'd go with fairs and shoot birds, and then we would take that bird and cook it and eat it. Yeah. So that story is about adventures in shags.
That's nice. And why do you think it is very important for you to put pictures in those stories?
It's important to put pictures because, um, first of all, pictures are more fun to look at, and a picture allows you to show somebody exactly how it was. Yeah, because when you only have words, the person reading imagines what they think, but not what you actually had in mind.
Yeah.
So that's why I love pictures.
Wonderful. Oscar, what's your proudest moment so far?
My proudest moment as a comic artist is that people get excited when they see my work. You see, when you create something as an artist and you find that, oh, they are mesmerized by my work. I didn't believe they would love it. So I'm always amazed when I see the reaction from the public.
Wonderful. Salim?
Um, I think for me the exciting part is when I see when people react to the work. Some say, this reminds me of my childhood. This is very exciting. It's like an African Marvel, an African. This, oh, I didn't know there was a monster like this. So those are the things that make me happy about what I do.
I like that both your answers is about reaction. This was not part of the question that I was going to be asking you, but I'm very curious. What does it do to you, and what should you do when you don't get such reactions as an individual?
What you should do is don't take it personally. Don't feel like it means you are not good. You should never do that. What it means is that you get feedback. What does this person think? What do they say? And then based on that, you can now go and adjust, or just explain what you actually meant so that the person understands. But you should not take it personally.
Okay, that's a good one. So to the last question before we get to a quick fire, I hope you're ready for a quick fire. What advice would you give to somebody, to the two of you, for somebody who wants to put together a story, a comic book, for a fast comic creator?
If you want to put a comic book first, uh, just like Salim said, if you are not a good artist, you can look for an artist, probably a friend whom you know, and then you can work on it. First of all, I have to work on the script. I always insist the story has to be written first, before it's drawn. It gives you it's like a guide to the entire story, how it's gonna flow. So to put what was the question?
What advice would you give to a first-time comic creator?
First time comic creator, yeah, those are some of the tips. That's one of the tips. And you have to also look for a way of publishing your work. You can maybe collaborate with a publisher, but although publishers are always very harsh on this genre of ours, but yeah, you can collect some funds together with a friend, then look for a printer, then print your work, and there are organizations like Nikon that can help you in distributing your work.
Yeah. What I would say for if you want to do a comic, okay. The question is, how many here have told a friend a story about something that just happened? Yeah. You tell each other stories all the time. So if you want to be a first-time comic creator, first of all, I would say, tell your friend, ask your friend, what do you think if this and this happened? If they think, oh, that would be cool, yeah, that's an idea. You can say, okay, then that's a nice idea. Let me make 2 pages of comic. And then if you make the 2 pages of comic, you just draw it on pencil and paper. If you can't draw, you collaborate with somebody who can. If you can't write, you collaborate with somebody who can. And you do 2 pages and you go and photocopy that and sell to your friends and neighbors here for 10 bob. Yeah?
Yeah.
So that's what I would do.
Wonderful. Isn't that good? Very good advice, guys. So there should be no limitation for you whatsoever. Okay. So quick fire and round, guys. Salim, Oscar, favorite superhero character of all time.
Do you guys know Hellboy? Hellboy. Yes, that's my favorite.
Oscar.
My favorite is I just love X-Men. I love the way the stories are told.
X-Men fans.
X-Men fans, Wolverine. We don't have Wolverine fans here.
Okay. Drawing with a pencil or a pen.
I use a pencil, traditional.
Well, earlier I would draw with a pencil, but the more advanced you get, it's advisable to start drawing with a pen so that you get better. So that's what I do now.
Who knew that? Did you guys know that? Okay.
You knew that?
Okay.
That's good.
Comic books or manga?
Manga.
Manga. Okay. Oh,
A little bit of both. I think both have something to tell. So I won't judge. I think manga and American comics are still fine.
wonderful. Who would you play in a superhero movie?
A villain.
A villain.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
A superhero movie, I would play. I think I'll play Batman.
Okay.
I'll play Batman.
Batman. Fans? Okay. So would you rather draw a 10-page comic in one day or write 10 stories in one day?
I would rather work on a 10-page story in one day. I think that's because I'm an artist. So that's what I would do.
Okay.
Yeah, me too. I'll work on a 10-page story.
Okay. 2 more questions and we're done. Pizza or pilau while working on your comics?
I will stick with pilau.
Okay, I wasn't expecting that, alright.
Yeah. Okay. Cause me in blue, yeah, I would say ugali.
Ugali.
Yeah.
I see you guys in the house, eh?
Ugali nashikilia. Eh? But if I only had those two, I'd tachukua pilau.
Okay. Pizza. How many for pizza here? Yeah? Alright, I see. One last one. This is the last one. Yeah, let's listen into the last question. One word to describe a comic creator. One word. I know it's hard, but one word.
One word.
Yeah.
Excited.
I like that.
Creativity.
Creativity. Very good. Okay, guys. Let's give them a round of applause. Yeah. So So clearly looks like you enjoyed that session. You can have your seats. Clearly looked like you had fun with that particular sessions, right? So I'm quickly going to go through a few slides, Alice, and then we'll have before you go. Okay, so I'd like for you guys